A very good morning to all my dear friends. I am Prashant Pavani. I hope you all are doing good. Today is 11th October. We have a very important article on our table today. It's called Teaming Up with Tokyo. It's about India and Japan's relationship. Now, as far as these two countries are concerned, right, in terms of regional issues, in terms of global issues, we are on same page. We don't have any sort of issues with each other. Things are, generally speaking, positive between both the nations, right? As far as leaders are concerned, the relationship between Mr. Modi and Mr. Shinzo Abe, they call each other as best buddies, and they are truly best buddies. They have been very cordial, very, informal with each other. When they meet, you can literally see, that they are truly good friends. But of course, diplomacy is a thing that you have to take into consideration. Means it's not that if they are having good rapport, that means that they will take everything lightly. In fact, it's an added advantage when you have two countries sharing this sort of relationship, and when you have this good rapport between your leaders, then it becomes a bit more smooth. It becomes a bit easier to execute things between each other. So that's the strength of India and Japan. In terms of culture, we have good, strong ties. In terms of history, right, World War II era time, Indian freedom struggle and all those periods. In terms of culture, Buddhism is there. Then you have influence of Hinduism over there as well. When I say Hinduism, I mean to say that they have a religion in Japan that is just a replica, or it has a high resemblance with Hinduism. So in terms of culture too, we have a strong relationship. We have a partnership in this bullet train, investment from Japan coming into our country in good numbers. We have a special office in Prime Minister's office for that looks after, that is dedicated to ensure that investment from Japan is, they find it as smooth as possible to do business in India. Japanese people, we do allow them to to import some food items as well for all those people who are living in Japan, or Japanese people living in parts of Gujarat and other parts of India. So as far as base is concerned, as far as people to people contact is concerned, as far as top level leadership rapport and relationship is concerned, things are smooth, things are good. Now for Japan, India is a very important, very pivotal country in Indian Ocean region, and the reason is, we have talked about this thing earlier on as well. I would like to remind you about Asia Pacific region and Indo Pacific region. Here on your screen you can see this yellow line, right? All those countries that are in yellow shade, they are part of this Asia Pacific region. Asia Pacific region was important. There was a time when it was important, but at present it is this Indo-Pacific region. And one of the main reason is the rise of India in terms of society, in terms of economy. We are the fastest developing major economy in the world. We have 3Ds here, right? When I say 3Ds, I'm talking about democracy. It helps or it ensures that decisions that are taken in a democratic country are transparent. Then we have demography. Right, we have 65% of our population is young, and young population, it's hungry. Young population requires a new house, new mobile phone, new cars, new clothes, and all those things. So this creates the third D, that is demand. And because of this thing, various different countries around the world, they are getting in touch with India. They want to do business with India, because if you are successful in India, right, then you will be successful. You are talking about 18% population of the world, and out of that 65% is young. So it's a land of opportunity. Apart from that, the way India has projected itself, the way India has dealt with other countries in this region here, we have a very good goodwill or a soft power in this portion. In many various different developing countries, they see India as a very reliable, as a very friendly, as a very democratic as well. India will give you all the space that is required. I'll give you a small example. Loans that are given by China or any other country, they will, even USA and other countries, when they give you loan or when they give you grants, they will inject. There is always an angle of a policy. policy injection. They will ask you to do this and that. They will also force you, or persuade you that our companies can do this thing better in your country. What about we are giving you $1 million for this thing? How about our company doing that business or that particular infrastructure development project? And you cannot say no to it, because you have to look after your own country and your own people and their development. But India is a country, it will give you full freedom. That's what we find from various different countries. That's what they say. Bangladesh has said this thing. Bangladesh said that if we get 50 billion from China and if we get 5 billion from India, say for example, I don't know the exact figure, but I'm giving you the gist or the crux of the matter. That Bangladesh said that when this China is giving us money, it will give us a plan. It will tell us what to do and what not to do and things like that. But with India, you get full freedom. India will give you money, and then you tell India that we are going to use it in this and that thing. Most recently, a couple of days ago, our president was in Tajikistan, and we have handed over some $20 million to them, for their development. And there are so many other countries, developing countries. They love India, if I can put it in this way. So India has a very strong presence in this region, and this is one of the reasons why Japan is, giving this much importance to India as far as IOR is concerned. Now, when we talk about Indo-Pacific region, right, oil, generally speaking, is transported from this part of the world to various different countries, and trade, if we talk about trade and other things, one of the most busiest ocean in the world is Indian Ocean. And most of the things are flowing or are traveling on this ocean here, and you have to enter the Strait of Malacca, and then you have to enter this region here, which is called South China Sea. Now we know that South China Sea is an area, right, that is claimed by China. China is having a sort of confrontation with so many countries of ASEAN because of this South China Sea and its claim over, or sovereignty of China over South China Sea. So it's creating a bit of problem, and it will create more problems for the whole world and for the whole world trade if China is going to, if say for example tomorrow China will apply restrictions that you cannot use our South China Sea. If you want to pass from South China Sea, then you need to take permissions and things like that. So it's going to impact this whole Indo-Pacific region, isn't it? So to make sure that a certain amount of pressure is put on China, India and Japan's partnership is important, right? This is a thing that we need to understand, because at present there is no country in the world, neither USA, neither Japan, neither India or Australia, no country can alone take on to China. China is not China that was 50, 60, 70 years ago. China is a new India. A very strong dragon has emerged. So you cannot take on China by single-handedly. You need some partners, and here Japan and India are good partners, and together they can, they have this capacity to put some pressure on China. So strong India is good for Japan, and strong Japan is good for India in terms of Indian Ocean region, in terms of geopolitics, in terms of global politics, and other things that are going on around the world. May it be climate change, or may it be global threats, terrorism, other things. Now, Mr. Abe or his administration is focusing on two items, right? One is maritime security. We have talked about this thing. You can take this as maritime security so far, the things that we have discussed, right? And then you have this strategic connectivity. In terms of maritime security, we do a trilateral exercise, right? It's called Malabar exercise. You have USA, you have Japan, and you have India. Together, these three countries are, doing this Malabar exercise for a very long period of time now. And one more thing that I would like to add here, that of course, whenever we do Malabar exercise, China is bit, it will get a little bit angry. But let me tell you one more thing, that it's not that we are all against China. Japan as well is going ahead and developing its relationship with Japan. They have a good relationship. They are Japan's major trading partner is China, and so is, when it comes to India, China is India's major trading partner too. So we don't want to spoil this relationship. We just want to make sure that we have some sort of, enough, you can say, a little bit of pressure, just in case if China is misbehaving, then we can at least create a little bit of problem, a little bit of trouble for China, so that China can, we can pacify China basically. Then you might have heard about Quad as well, right? Quadrilateral, where you have four countries. You have Japan, India, USA, and Australia. It was in news the starting of 2018. 10 years ago as well, this idea was, it was in existence, but in terms of practicality, it never manifested into a real thing. And now as well, it looks like, see, India is not relying too much on Quad, and India should not, because once you allow countries like Japan, USA, say for example, if you allow USA to come here and set up their base or here, or allow free movement for USA, without any sort of permission, you can come in Indian Ocean region and things like that, then once they will penetrate here, it will become impossible for us to get rid of them. So we have to take this thing into consideration as well. As far as this trilateral exercise is concerned, Australia proposed that it wants to join this Malabar exercise, but India said a big no, that we cannot allow. So this is a thing that we have to do, and we are doing it. So everything is so far so good. You have this big helicopter carrier. It's called Kaga, right? Of course, it's a Japanese helicopter carrier, and at present you find this one in Visakhapatnam. So this indicates this military relationship that we are trying to enhance between both these nations. Then you have military exchange. Japan wants us to, have this trilateral exercise. When I say trilateral or tri-service, to be put it this way, tri-service, you have, at present we are just Navy of Japan and Navy of India engaging with each other, or, conducting these drills together. But Japan wants Air Force of India and Army of India, so all these three tri-services engaging with each other and learning and sharing things between each other. We have this acquisition and cross-servicing agreement, that is work in progress. Discussions are going on this acquisition and cross-servicing agreement. It is something like LIMOA. Remember LIMOA, between India and USA, where you can use each other's facilities for top up and for recharge, and if you need food or other items or ammunition and servicing and other things, we can use each other's facilities in different parts of the world. Then you have this joint collaboration in unmanned armored vehicles and robotic systems. So this is altogether a new level of, you can say, defense management, where we will be using armored vehicles and robotic systems. That's going to be a next generation warfare techniques. And there is a US-21. US is not here. US does not mean United States. It's a name of an amphibious aircraft that can, of course, amphibious is something that can land on water as well, a flying aircraft that can land on water too. So that's called amphibious aircraft. So the only negative thing that we find here, it's not entirely, I'm sure, that we can call it negative, but it's a bit of drag, this deadlock over this US-2I. It's been going on since 2014. Again, as far as nuclear deal is concerned, right, we have got a green signal from Japanese parliament, and we have signed this civil nuclear deal with Japan too, which is very important for our energy security, because most of the companies of USA, this Westinghouse, all these companies are subsidiary of Toshiba, that is a Japanese company. So without this green signal from Japanese parliament, it is practically not possible for us to go ahead with, this Westinghouse and other companies. Now you have this route here, maritime route. It's called Asia Africa Growth Corridor, AAGC. It's an idea to you can say counter this BRI, Belt and Road Initiative. What we are trying to achieve here is, see, let me tell you about some positive points about India. We have human resources, right? Talented human resources. We have this soft power or good influence over these countries here. And if we talk about Japan, then we have a good quality of Japan, skilling of Japan, technology of Japan, money of Japan. So together, what we are trying to achieve under this Asia Africa growth corridor, that all these items of Japan and all these items of India can be catered to various different countries in this part of the world, and with the help of this thing we can counter this Belt and Road Initiative. You have four pillars of Asia Africa growth corridor. You have developmental projects, you have quality infrastructure creation, capacity building of all these nations, and you have people to people partnership. So these are the four pillars of Asia Africa growth corridor. Japan is, famous for infrastructure initiative. Its infrastructures are, environmentally friendly. They are financially sustainable as well. It's not like China's colonization, and Japan's emphasis on transparency and making things clear, and India's soft power. All these things are hopefully going to create new opportunities for this whole region. So in this way as well, India and Japan's partnership is important for not only for both the nations but for the whole world. So I believe we have discussed many things, and I believe that a good base, we have built a good base as far as India-Japan relationship is concerned. In near future, as you know, that Prime Minister Modi will be in Japan. So at that point of time as well, we are going to find so many articles on this thing, and today's discussion will help you a lot. Moving on to another item, and before moving ahead, let me inform all of you that up to 50% discount is available on our pen drive and tablet courses, valid till 16th October. It's a Navratri sale, so make the most out of it. Download the PDF of today's lecture from my FB page and Twitter handle. Now, we have one editorial called Deadly Roads. It's about a number of deaths that are taking place on our country. The sad thing is, and I'm not at all a pessimistic person, but here, when it comes to this thing, I have to be a little bit of, you'll find a bit of negativity from my side, because from last 7-8 years, I'm following this current affairs. You can call it religiously, right? Current affairs. So I have always, came across this sort of figures. It's always been somewhere around 150,000 people dying every year on our roads. Nowadays, more people are dying because of, from last few years, we have seen more vehicles on our roads. Then you have injuries, nearly 5 lakh people, right? They face some sort of injuries, they not die, but they face permanent disabilities because of this road accidents. You find so many cars, they are banned in Europe, so many vehicles, they are banned in Europe and other developed countries. They are big products, big hit products in our country, because even government as well is not paying that much attention to safety standards or build quality of vehicles that are sold in India or manufactured in our country. We have this K.S. Radhakrishna committee constituted by Center, to look into this issue of road accidents in our country. But as far as practical actions are concerned, we are still not doing anything about it. We are good vehicle users, I would say, but we are a very bad user. We need to change this whole behavior. We need a proper 180-degree turn. A total re-engineering is required as far as vehicle usage as well as road usage in our country is concerned, right? If you ask someone who is coming from a foreign country, they will be in a big shock when they see the situation or the road situation in our country. So many people are driving without license. So many people are driving there without insurance. So many cases are pending in courts, because of this road accidents and things like that. So we find this sort of articles and editorials. We know the things, right? We need good infrastructure, good training and everything. But when we are going to start this thing, that's the thing. We know something. That's a different thing. If you don't implement your knowledge, then that's not going to be of any use, isn't it? Moving on to another item, it's about Draconian Move. Draconian Move is about this magazine of Tamil Nadu called Nakhiran. Nakhiran is a Chennai-based magazine, and the editor of this magazine, his name is R.R. Gopal, with outstanding moustache, as you can see. So this R.R. Gopal he's editor of Tamil Nadu, and he was arrested because he wrote an article which was talking about this Banwari Lal Purohit, who is governor of Tamil Nadu. And it was this article was talking about this controversy surrounding this assistant professor Nirmala Devi, who is in jail for allegedly trying to lure students into sex work. So this article was saying that there are some links between Nirmala Devi and Banwari Lal Purohit, and Mr. Purohit, or Governor Purohit, is not happy about this article, and he has filed, his office has filed a complaint, police complaint, under section 124 of IPC. Now this 124 IPC is a colonial IPC law, I would say, or a colonial section. It was not used at that point of time as well, when British used to when we used to have this British Raj in our country. But it looks like this Governor Banwari Lal Purohit, for him, this 124 IPC is his favorite tool, because a month ago, when DMK people or their followers, this party people, when they staged a black flag demonstration against Governor of Tamil Nadu, at that point of time as well, he threatened that he is going to impose this 124, or he is going to file a case against them under this section 124. So under this section 124, what it is all about? It is about if you are if you are trying to do something, or your actions are creating problems for functionaries like president and governors, So what governor is saying here, that that this article is trying to create hurdles for this office of governor, and because of this thing, this person was arrested. Now the thing is, generally what we find, that judiciary is quite reflexive, when it comes to remand orders. But here we have to commend the job of Metropolitan Magistrate of Chennai. He realized that this whole case was not having that much backup, and he declined to jail Mr. R. Gopal. But many a times, the main thing here that we need to understand is law is equal for everyone, but still we find that when you are against, when you write something, when you say something about a powerful person, then you are going to face a bit of trouble from local administration. Then we have this power of non-alignment. Non-alignment stands for this NAM, right? Non-aligned movement that started back in early 50s, Bandung Afro-Asian Conference of 1955. Now let me throw one question to you guys. Can you give me the name of the country where you find this Bandung? Let me give you a small hint. ASEAN is a hint for you. Now, as far as this non-aligned movement is concerned, let me throw some background on this thing. After the end of World War II, we saw there was a tough cutthroat competition between USA and USSR. Right? Both these nations were against each other. They were competing with each other in terms of weapons, in terms of nuclear weapons, in terms of space, in terms of technology and economy and other things. So this cutthroat competition, and the main reason for this, or the main motive, was that who is going to rule the world. And because of this thing, we saw that division of you can say bipolar world, division of world into two different groups. All those countries who were in this team of USA, and other countries who were in team of USSR. At that point of time, developing nations like India and other countries, they started a new movement called non-aligned. That means we are neither with USA, nor with this USSR. We would rather be independent. We don't want to be in any group. So NAM was all about being independent, and it was also talking about developing nations, and it was against this colonial rule that was still prevalent during 50s and 60s. And in 1955, when this Bandung conference was going on, at that point of time, this risk of or the fear of World War III was real. It was at that point of time, it was looking that the world is going to have one more nuclear war, or World War III. But thank God to NAM, they started this naming and shaming leaders and countries who were not obeying rules and regulation, and NAM is often not given credit for what it deserves. It has played a very important role in this fight against colonialism. It has played a very important role in crafting this 1963's partial test ban treaty. When it comes to non-proliferation treaty as well, NAM played a very important role. It also helped create several nuclear weapon-free zones around the world too. It represented these developing countries or poor countries or countries that were under colonial rule in United Nations and global platform. There used to be many Western countries. They used to project this, or they used to portray, or they used to term non-aligned movement as a pro-Soviet or ineffective, but that's not always right. It has played a very important role, and the way things are going on in today's era, USA is against China, USA, Russia issue, E3 countries, and some troubles going on between E3 and USA. When I say E3, I'm talking about UK, I'm talking about Germany, I'm talking about France. So these are the three European powerful countries, right? So that's why they are called E3s. So the way things are going on at present, we need a NAM, or either we need a global South or South-South cooperation, a group of developing countries, a group of friendly countries, coming together and making sure that we don't find powerful this United Nations Security Council leaders or permanent members fighting with each other. Next item that we have is next steps after Section 377 judgment. So it's talking about marital rape. Now, we find this sort of cases as well, rapes conducted by husband, on their wives. And for few people it may sound a bit surprising, but the thing is, there are a few regions around the world, India, West Asia, Africa, we do not recognize marital rape as a crime, which is a bit against this privacy judgment, because when it comes to privacy, it is a thing that is totally in the hand of an individual. Now, we have this section 377. It is gone now, of course. It will be applicable only on the cases where you have this bestiality, as well as when it is, cases pertaining to minors. Only then we will see section 377 coming into force, or else it is out now. And we have this 498A law in our country, section 498A. It was diluted by Supreme Court. This 498A was dealing with this dowry related cases and abuses associated with dowry, and cases as this dowry and physical, mental, emotional abusement done by in-laws or husband on wife. And with this research that was conducted by Nirvikar, so what they have found is that section 377, in most of the cases, nearly half of the cases filed by women in this context of section 498, we find 377 was also added. Unnatural sex, or forcing a wife to have unnatural sex, was added. And the reason why we find this thing is, of course, there are a few cases where you find this sort of things. The other thing is 498A has the lowest conviction rate of any law in our country. So this was one of the reasons why section 377 was added, because it becomes a bit difficult for the people, for the husband particularly, to escape if he has done something wrong with the wife. Section 498A was not enough. Now we have this section 375, and it is a bit controversial, or we can have a good brainstorming debate and discussion on this thing, because very recently on this adultery case, Supreme Court said that wife is not a property of a husband. And here what this section 375 is saying is that sexual intercourse or sexual acts by a man with his own wife, the wife not being under 15 years of age, is not a rape. So this is a point on which we can have a debate, and brainstorming is required on this issue as well. That this is the time now is it a time to criminalize marital rape in our country? So think about it. It's a very important topic, and let's move on to latest news items. How was decision on Rafale made has been asked by Supreme Court. Central government is supposed to hand over a sealed envelope by October 29. Mr. Trump has said that India will find out. You will see sooner than you think. He's talking about this S-400 deal. and sanctions that can be applied on our country. 5 killed as train derails in Uttar Pradesh. Cyclone Titli is going to make a landfall in Odisha. Nirmala Sitharaman starts her visit to France. She's going to be there for 3 days, and it's about boosting defense and security ties. Bimal Jalan, I'm sure you have heard about or read his name on our notes. You know, he used to be our Reserve Bank governor, RBI's former governor, Bimal Jalan. He is the head of this committee that is going to select CEA, that is Chief Economic Advisor, and he has said that the best person for the job will be selected. That's the most important thing. And cooperate to fight trade protectionism has been said by China. China is requesting us to join its hand against the USA, because USA is creating this sort of protectionism and things like that. Vocabs, here are 5 vocabs for you guys. Help yourself with it, and I would like to see some answers as well, right, in the comment section. These vocabs are given to you because these words are, generally speaking, you know, you don't find them in everyday use, but step by step, if you are religiously following this thing, if you are taking part in answer writing and everything, then you will find that after a couple of months you will see, you know, your terminologies or terminologies that you are using, your vocab, your personal library, or not library but dictionary, will get, you know, a bit of improvement. Day before yesterday's map based answer is this one. It's a Haiti. You find this country in West Indies or Caribbean portion. It's a new map based quiz for you guys. Small hint is Africa. All right, and these are your answer. This flag is of Nepal, and you have this flag here. You need to give me the name of the country. I'll give you a small hint. Let me make it easier for you. Once you find the name of this country, make sure you do go through some additional detail. You'll find the name of this country and the flag, the answer for the flag as well. And these are your 2 questions. That's everything. Now, before saying goodbye to you, let me take you through a very interesting quote by J.K. Rowling. She says that J.K. Rowling is a lady from UK. She wrote Harry Potter. So it is our choices that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities. We may not have that ability at present, but our choice, you know, if we decide something, and if we work on it, then our abilities will improve, isn't it? So that's everything in today's discussion. Please make sure that you share this lecture with other students. It's very important, guys. It's very, very important. And that's everything. Enjoy your studies. God bless you all. Jai Hind.